Holy God, I need a haircut. Anyways, yeah, let's get into the video. So in this video, I'm pretty much just going to be breaking down how we took a client from $25,000 a month to $125,000 a month in less than 3 months. We started working with him in December of 2025, and by March 2026, we had done $125,000 cash collected in one singular month. Okay, so we did just under, I think, $300,000 cash collected in total for the 3 months. So not too bad overall, but let me show you some proof of this so you guys can see who this actually is, and then we'll keep through how we actually did it. So this is a guy by the name of Ethan Newen. If you want to check him out on YouTube or Instagram, whatever it is, you guys can see some proof that we actually did the 125, that I'm not just bullshitting. So as you can see, December over here, $125,000 cash collected. And then you can see over here, March 1st to March 31st, 125 cash collected. So not too bad overall. To give you guys a bit of context as well in terms of what the situation's like before we started working with Ethan. So pretty much had no team. He had no systems. He was working literally 16 hours a day. He was working himself into a hole. He was setting his own calls, closing his own deals, running his own ads, spending minimal amounts on ads. He had a content team that was cooked, that was just wasting his money. He had a growth operator that was like spending, I'll show you guys these metrics over here, but a growth operator that didn't know what they were doing, spent $4,000 just to get a shown call. Absolutely crazy. I think they spent like 12K on ads that month before us, with that separate that other growth operator, and they probably I don't think they made any money back from it. But you guys can see ROAS is zero. They spent 12K, so it is zero. But that being said, he wasn't growing the business whatsoever. He was literally just stuck doing everything himself. He wasn't pushing the business forward whatsoever. When we came in, first of all, we hired a full sales team. He was not working 16 hours a day. Now he's working only maybe 4 hours a day, if I'm being honest. He's living the life at the moment. He's probably been to like 4 countries this year. So yeah, he's enjoying his time. But on that side of things as well, we also just have a really way more systemized approach to business overall. Beforehand, it was like super if this works, oh, we can continue doing this. There was no data behind anything. He made decisions irrationally. And now there's an actual system to it. There's SOPs in place. There's actual systems in place to actually scale. So that's another big thing. We have a 5 to 10x ROAS on ads currently. So for the 3 months, we've been spending anywhere from like $3,000 to $10,000 in ads. Obviously, we built it up. Last month, last month specifically, we spent about $10,000 on ads and we returned about $70,000. So we held around 7x ROAS specifically. This is the months before metrics. So I think this was February. We spent about $5,000 on ads and we returned about $50,000 from that. And I think we collected another 30 from just organic content and that side of things. But you guys can see the metrics are 10 times better compared to what they looked like beforehand. So you guys can see like we're holding anywhere from a 5 to 10x rise with him. Last month we held a 7x rise. And now Ethan's actually focused on growing the business instead of just, working inside the business. He's actually focused on the vision and content, and realistically he doesn't do much other than content and teaches students. And we've even removed him from that role because now we've got a CSM team in. So he generally takes like maybe a few calls a week and films content, and that's pretty much it. So he's enjoying life at the moment, making good money. But yeah, let's get into how we actually got this done. So I'm going to be going through 4 main things. Number one is funnel. Number two is sales process. Number three is hiring sales teams and how to manage them. And then from there, number four, I'm going to go through tracking and things you guys need to be tracking and things that actually helped us get to the numbers we're doing currently. So let's get straight into it. So number one, the funnel. Funnel is overall not too complicated. We are running ads to this specific funnel. So it'll make sense why the actual VSL is only 5 minutes long and why it's so simple. So running ads, I first of all love that side of things because we can target a specific person, and that's exactly why the headline you can see is saying this is what Australians are doing to never work a 9 to 5 again. We're talking specifically to Australians. Is exactly who we're targeting in the ads. Working 9 to 5s, people who want to get out of their 9 to 5s is who we're targeting, and that's exactly our ICP and our dream client. It's people who are looking to get out of their 9 to 5, who are working some sort of corporate role and they just want to get out of it, and they're anywhere from like 20 to 30 years old is kind of our age range at the moment. So you guys can see, like literally we are identifying our ICP in the headline, and that's one key thing that helped this funnel convert really well, is literally just the fact that we are calling out our ICP in the headline. Okay. Number two is the VSL short. As I said, we are running ads to this, so it just made sense. You guys can see that, but you guys can see 5 minutes over here. It made sense to make the VSL way shorter because at the end of the day, we are running paid traffic to this. People don't have that much Right. Especially in a B2C market, they're not going to have that big of an attention span. They're going to click off things very, very quickly. So we had to get to the point as quickly as possible. And when you have like a 15-minute VSL to a cold audience that has no clue who you are, has no clue about the business model, and is very, very skeptical about the online space and everything overall, it just doesn't make sense to have such a long VSL. So we made it as short as possible, got what we needed in there. We'd rather convert them, get them to apply, and then we can actually start trying to nurture them and stuff like that. The VSL is not really meant to nurture. It's more just to get them bought into the fact that this is possible. Let me see if I can do this and let me see what this is about. Okay. So super, super important. The VSL is not long. It's not trying to sell them on anything. Well, we are trying to sell them on the actual business model and getting started, but we're not explaining what the business model is. We're not, going super in depth with Ethan's story. We're not doing any of that a normal VSL would have. It's just what we need to convert these people because we identified that if we can just get them through the funnel, get them booked in for a call, we are going to do a way better job than rather than trying to nurture them before they even apply. We'd rather get them to apply and then nurture them, if that makes sense. So that's a big thing over there that you guys can look at. And then over here as well with the application. On the application side of things, we have 5 questions in total. So the first one being just literally this: do you currently work a 9 to 5? Second one being, what is your goal? So like just the goal. That's a multiple choice question as well. Number 3 is, what do they make from their current work? And then number 4 would be, what do they do for work? So detailing, that's a type out question, just by the way. So it's a, what do you actually do for work? They just type it out. And then from there, it's just number 5, which is the information. So email, phone number, name, pretty simple. The reason we made only 5 questions and 3 of them are multiple choice is because we didn't want to have as much friction. The reason, like, you have to look at funnels in terms of like friction, if that makes sense. So this funnel specifically has the perfect amount of friction because we're asking enough questions to push away people that don't have jobs, people that are not serious whatsoever. We're pushing away people who are 18, 19, people who are in university, have no money overall. We're pushing those types of people away with these types of questions and the amounts of questions. But we're not pushing away the people who are serious about this and people who have money. That's the biggest thing. With funnels, you have to identify that friction is a very, very big thing, and you have to have a balance. You don't want to push away the warm leads and the people who could buy from you, but you also don't want to bring the people in who are completely unqualified. So we have a balance here. That's why we have 5 questions. It seems to be working for us. Every audience is different. Some people need more questions. Some people need less questions. Some people need more typing questions. Some people need more just, multiple choice questions. It really comes down to the audience, but at the end of the day, we have to test this. So we tested probably like 10 different sets of questions on this side of things, but it does make a difference when it comes to the conversion side of things. And then overall, not too complicated. You guys have seen this before. But literally just a bunch of student testimonials like any other funnel would be. So it's not complicated. I think a lot of people overcomplicate the fuck out of funnels. Like, they're not that complicated if you understand what to do and the market you're targeting. Like, realistically, what you have to understand when it comes to funnels is you need to understand who you're going after and make it tailored towards them. And that's the only piece of advice. If there's one thing about your funnel that you take out of this video, is the fact that everything needs to be talking to an ICP and who you're trying to target. So everything in this funnel specifically is targeted towards people who are in their 9 to 5s, who are 20 to 25 years old, who are Australian, who are looking to get out of their 9 to 5s, and specifically their goals are to help their parents. That is one of the biggest things we've seen, specifically because we target an Asian market, is the fact that these people want to help their parents so much. That is their main goal for 90% of the clients we've signed for Ethan, is they all want to help their parents. So in the VSL, we're talking about that. In the sales process, we're talking about that. We are talking directly to our ICP, and that's the main thing you guys need to take out from this actual funnel breakdown. Super, super simple, but you have to be talking to your ICP. And the way you do that is just by knowing who your ICP is. So I'll walk through a few things after this to show you guys kind of what you can do to understand your audience a bit better. To us, it's just because we are running ads to this offer, we know exactly who we're targeting. So it helps us with that side of things. But there's a few small things I'll show you guys at the end, so you can understand how we know who we're actually talking to. So that's the biggest thing there. Funnels are not overall complicated. So we separate the lead. So if someone says they're making under $3,000 a month, as I said earlier, we separate them between low ticket and high ticket. So low ticket being someone who makes less than 3K a month, and high ticket being someone who makes more than 3K a month. So that's just based on their job and their income overall. It's one of the questions we ask in the application process. So If they are unqualified and they don't make more than 3K a month, they go straight to this page. It's just a low ticket. Honestly, we don't really focus on this. Like we probably made around $3,000 last month from this specifically. So it's not like a huge thing we try and push whatsoever. It's just to recoup a bit of ad costs, if I'm being honest. And we sell it if the leads want it, if I'm being honest. So it's not like a huge thing we try and do, but realistically, if they're not making at least 3K a month in Australian dollars, at least, like we're cooked pretty much. They're not going to be able to afford a 9K program. So that's on that sort of things. But if they are high ticket leads specifically, they'll go to this page specifically. So a member of my team will reach out to you in 5 minutes. So once someone applies, we call them immediately. So I'll walk through that a bit later, but we call them immediately within 5 minutes. Our sales team super dialed in. From there, literally just in the meantime, go through some frequently asked questions. So we're getting them a bit warm up before the actual call, so they understand maybe about what the program is, how long does it take to see results, will this work if I have no experience. We've probably switched around these videos probably 15 times as well. We've got so many different variations of these videos because at the end of the day, we're just testing things nonstop. That's one thing we always do with every single offer. You have to be testing 24/7. If you're not testing something like literally every 4 days, you are doing something wrong in your business. You need to be testing different things to see what works, because an increase in conversion ratio in like 5 or 10% in a pickup rate is going to make us a lot more money. So overall, these videos do make a huge difference. And these are called breakout videos specifically. They're meant to nurture and educate your audience as much as possible before a call. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're just answering questions as quickly as possible. It's not too complicated. Like, I'll be honest with you. You guys, if you want to go watch Jeremy Haynes on YouTube, you guys can go do that. He talks about this side of things. But pretty much a breakout video is just there to educate people. It's on your thank you page. For us specifically, people can't book in on the funnel, so they cannot book in whatsoever on this funnel. We call them, and that's how they get booked in. So it's very crucial that you understand that like people cannot book in on this funnel whatsoever. We book them in manually by calling them and then getting them on a call, and then obviously booking them in if they are qualified. That just helped with removing people who are unqualified, because we were getting a lot of people who were booking in but just had no money whatsoever, even though we had the questions in place. So what we did is we just switched it to now calling them instead of booking them in, and we booked them in ourselves. So that helps a lot on that sort of things. But overall, not too complicated. And then we go from there into just a few student testimonials. Pretty simple, not too complicated. So yeah, that's the main side of things over there when it comes to the sales process overall. So number one, call every single lead. So no matter if they're a low ticket or a high ticket or whatever it is, we call every single lead no matter what. Okay. And the biggest thing you have to understand here is speed to lead is the most crucial part of this. Okay. Speed to lead. If there's one thing you guys take out of this video, is the fact that speed to lead is by far the most important thing when it comes to the sales process. If we don't call leads within 2 minutes, we kind of consider them a lost lead at that point. So the biggest thing you guys have to understand is that speed to lead. If you want to make more money with your product right now and you have some sort of dialing call inside of it, if you just call people quicker, you will make more money. I guarantee it pretty much. So that's the key thing I want you guys to understand over here is speed to lead is super crucial. Once we call every lead, obviously we try and figure out if they're qualified. I'll run through the setting call. Actually, I'll run through the setting call right now. So in terms of the setting framework, it's not too complicated. It's literally just an introduction. You guys can like actually go through this if you want, but it's literally just an introduction. Yo, I saw you left your information with us about possibly getting started with your own agency with Ethan Newen or Config. Does that ring a bell whatsoever? Perfect. So what's the reason you're looking to start an online business? What are you interested in with an agency specifically? So just understanding like what got them interested, pretty simple. Then we get situation and context. So like what do they do for work? What are they doing for an income right now? That type of thing. And then we go straight into problem awareness. The biggest thing with this script specifically that you guys should use, and the reason I recommend it, is because we're bringing out the problem so much. This increased our show rate by 15% just by changing this script. We used to have an old script that was like it was performing decently, but we changed it to this script and it improved our show up rate by 15% because we built more pain up in the actual setting call, which helped people and helped, us just make more money, because at the end of the day, people felt more pain. They felt more of a need to actually show up to a call. The only reason someone doesn't show up to a call is because they do not care. Okay. And if you can make them care on your setting calls, you will make a lot more money. So that's what we're doing here. We're just going deep into the problem. So surface level problem, expanding on the problem, expanding on the problem, past attempts, and why now. Then we go into consequence. So what is the actual consequence if they did not take action on this specific thing? That's the biggest thing over here. We are going super, super deep into the actual problem side of things. It's literally the main part of the script. Like, we don't care about goals realistically. We don't care about most things. We just care about their problems and what's driving them to actually take action. Okay. Because if we can understand that and dig deep and stick a knife in it and start twisting it around, we will make a lot more money. I promise you. If you just dig out the pain in your leads, way more, especially if you're selling to a B2C market. The biggest thing with B2C is the fact that these people are working 9 to 5s. They hate their jobs. Most people are running away from something rather than trying to achieve something. So they're running away from the job. They're running away from university. They're running away from whatever it is. They're running away from something rather than trying to achieve something. And that's what you have to understand is their problem is huge, and you need to make them understand that the path they're heading down right now is not going to get them to where they want to go. Okay, and that this problem is actually large. So that's the biggest thing. I would just rarely go through this. I'm not going to actually read the full script, but you guys can go through it and actually read it if you guys want to. Overall, like, this literally helped us increase our show up rate by 15%. So I'd recommend everyone uses this. From light consequence, then we go into transition into booking. We financially qualify, making sure they have a minimum of $3,000. If they don't, we don't book them in. We do have a financing option in place, but generally we don't like using it just because, like, honestly, it cooks our deals. We use a financing company specifically because we're in Australia. We can't really use Klarna or Afterpay or anything like that. But that being said, this financing company kind of cooks everything. It takes like a week to get someone processed, so we end up losing a few deals here and there. So we don't really like using it. But the main thing is we're just looking if they actually have money. And the way we ask it is literally just like, what capital do you have set aside to actually run this type of business? If someone says, listen, I don't know how much this costs, what does it cost to get started? We'll just give them a price range. I see so many people scared to give people prices. Just give them the price, because if you tell them the price and they're like, oh, okay, that's way too expensive, I cannot afford that. Great, then you don't book in a shitty lead. If you tell them and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I can afford that. That's great. Then you've got a qualified lead. So it's all about just telling them if they ask the question. If you ask the question, how much do you have to invest? And they say, oh, I got 5K. Perfect. Okay. But if they're like, how much does this cost? What, just tell them the price. Listen, it costs anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000. Is that something feasible for you right now? Yes or no. Then you get a qualified lead or you don't. It's as simple as that. You don't waste your closers' time. So I'd recommend people just giving them the price on the call. And from there, it's just booking them in. Not too complicated. Get them in the WhatsApp group chat. Super, super simple. Yeah, super, super good script. I would recommend everybody uses that script specifically. We use it on all of our offers now, so I recommend everybody use that script specifically. So obviously, once we figure out they're qualified, we actually book in the call. Once we booked in that call, we add them into a WhatsApp group chat. So it's literally just a group chat on WhatsApp or SMS, wherever it needs to be. And we get them into the WhatsApp group chat and we send them a quick message. Well, we get them to send us a message saying, I'm confirmed. So on the setting call, we'll get the setter to tell the lead to say, I'm confirmed once they're in the group chat. Because what we saw is people who joined the group chat ended up just ghosting us. So we try to add in that extra level of touch there so they can actually confirm and give us a information on text that they're going to show up. Definitely helped our show up rate by at least another 5-6%. I don't know the exact metric, but it definitely did help. It helped us make more money. So that's the biggest thing there, was we made them confirm the call specifically there. Once they're confirmed, so that's on call. After the call specifically, obviously from there, then the set will send out a message saying, great chatting with you. Super excited to see how your call goes. As I mentioned in the call, here's a few resources you need to watch before the call. Pretty simple. It's not complicated. From there, he'll literally just send over 2 videos. So the one video is going to be a FAQ section. So pretty much Ethan just detailing like what is he actually going to be doing on this call, what's the program about, some student testimonials, just kind of giving them a general overview of everything that's happening. So that's the first thing. It's about a 15-minute long video. Then we'll send over a testimonial from one of Ethan's students. With all of our testimonials we send over to each specific lead, we probably have around 20 at this point in time. We send very specific ones to very specific leads. So for example, if someone is working in a specific industry and we have a student testimonial with someone in that industry, we will send it to them. If we have someone who is younger, let's say for example, we've got a testimonial from a guy in the Philippines. If we have another lead from the Philippines that is qualified, we will send them that specific testimonial. If we have someone from this specific area of Australia or someone doing this specific job, we will always send these different testimonials because we have such a variety of testimonials that we are able to send those out. And that's a key thing that I think a lot of people don't do, is they don't try and match the testimonial to the lead. Okay. One of the biggest problems we've seen is trying to sell to older people is the fact that we don't have older people testimonials. We don't have like a 35-year-old testimonial. We don't have a 50-year-old testimonial. We get the leads every now and again. And when they do come through, we get them on sales calls. We just can't close them because they do not see the ability of them getting that specific results of 10, 15, 20K a month, because we don't actually have the proof to show them like a 50-year-old's done this before. So overall, I think that's one thing you guys could take out of this as well. It's send testimonials to leads that are similar to the actual person in the testimonial. It's a really big thing. Okay. Once we get them in the group chat, obviously we send the videos, as I just explained. Once they actually confirm. So what we used to do is we used to send them like literally 10 videos at once. And that was not working whatsoever because it felt like homework. So we switched it now. So we send 2 videos. We confirm they've watched those 2 videos. Then we send another 2. Once they've watched those 2 videos, we send another 2. Once they've watched those 2 videos, we send another 2. It's not too complicated, but it just took a bit of testing and seeing what worked. Because at the end of the day, when you send 10 videos at once, it feels like homework. So we didn't like that. So now we switched it to be a bit more interactive with the sales reps as well. So that this like the communication is going on, because realistically, if someone's communicating in the WhatsApp group chat, we automatically know that they are going to show up. So that's the biggest thing we're trying to do there as well. So once we send more of those videos over, we always follow up every single day. So every single morning on our to-do list for all of our setters is to message all the leads booked in, no matter if they're 5 days out, no matter if they're 2 days out, no matter if the calls today. Every single lead, every single morning that is booked in, gets a message, either reminding them of their call if it's the day of their call and asking them if they're going to show up. Either it's asking them how the student testimonials or how the videos are coming along, asking if they have any questions, asking how the videos are coming along, whatever it may be. We're asking questions on questions on questions, specifically if they are more than a day out. On the day specifically, we'll just remind them and say, yo, you good for the call? But if they're 3 days out, 2 days out, or just 1 day out, we will literally just ask them questions about the videos, about the if they have any questions, anything like that. The biggest thing there is just to keep top of mind, because people can be warm. They can be, I want to show up, I want to do all these things, but sometimes people just forget. So you always want to say as top of mind as possible. So that's that's what we're trying to do there. From there, obviously, just the lead shows up. It's not too complicated. I've pretty much shown you guys everything when it comes to the sales process. I've got videos as well where you guys can go detail the sales process more in depth, but I think I kind of detailed it in this video. It's not like super in depth. Like we're adding in emails now. We're adding in ads that are going to be retargeting people once they actually book in to further nurture them. But the main idea here is the fact that yeah, it's very labor intensive for our setters, and the reason it works is because we have good setters. This won't work if you don't have a good setter and someone who actually knows what they're doing. But I'll walk you guys through how to get that done now. So the biggest thing with the sales process is just forcing consumption as well. Like we force people to literally watch those videos. Like we follow up multiple times in a day to actually make sure they're watching the video. So for example, someone books in, we will literally message them. So say they're booking at 2 p.m. At 8 p.m., our setters know that they have to message that lead and ask them if they have watched those videos. If they haven't, they'll give them another call and be like, yo, have you watched the videos? If they have, perfect, we'll send over a few more. If they haven't, it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'll watch them now. So that's the biggest thing, is you have to have really good setters for this to actually work. If you don't have good setters, it's not going to work whatsoever. But yeah, very labor intensive, but it really does build trust with the audience as well. And it just forces consumption. Like people actually just consume the content, and when they get on the call, they're more ready to buy because they understand everything. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, that's the sales process side of things. Now, in terms of hiring and managing a sales team, this is probably my favorite part of the whole process. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So number one, when it comes to actually hiring and finding your sales team, whether it's a setter, whether it's a closer, whatever it may be, you need to be hiring from the correct place. What I mean by that is you cannot be going to some bozo who just started his coaching program and is 15 years old and now he teaches all the high ticket sales reps. No, you're gonna get really shitty sales reps. So what we do specifically when we try and find sales reps is I always go to a few select coaches that I know in the industry that I've worked with before, just by testing it out. It is going to take a bit of testing. You're going to have to know who provides good reps, who provides bad reps, that type of thing. But generally, there's a few guys I go to whenever I need a rep, and I say, listen, got this offer, detail it out, give it, and say like, listen, need some reps, and they send them over automatically. It's like super simple. But the biggest thing is if you go to a shit place, like someone who is 18 years old, made 20K a month with high ticket sales, and now automatically just runs a coaching program, and they've only sold for like 6 months, you're going to get shitty reps. Okay. If you go to someone who's marketing towards specifically people who want to go from 10 to 20K a month with high ticket sales, or 20 to 50K a month with high ticket sales, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that's going to differentiate that is you're just going to get better leads. So That's what I recommend. It's always going to coaches. You can make posts on Instagram, but I prefer just going to coaches. I know I'm getting good reps, especially since I've worked a lot with the coaches already. And I know exactly who they're going to be providing, and I know what their programs are about and stuff like that. And I like overall their sales process. Another thing that it comes with like hiring from the same training groups week after week and rep after rep is the fact that you're going to get a very, very clear sales process. So for our one off, for this office specifically, we have hired from the same sales program every single time. For our closers, all of them are in the exact same sales program, which means they all follow the same process. They all follow the exact same objection handling frameworks and all these different types of things. So it makes the closing process actually way easier for me as a manager or growth operator, whatever you want to call it. Is Yeah, we just have a systemized process. I don't have one rep doing this and one rep doing that. So that's another like beneficiary of hiring from one coaching program specifically. So once we send that form out to all the coaches, pretty much what it is just detailing what the offer is. So this is what the offer is. This is what the ticket price is. This is who we're selling to. This is the ICP, that type of thing. How we're getting leads, all that type of stuff. You always want to detail like OTE. So what did you make last month? What did you like? What are you expecting to make? What's the plan for the future with the offer? That type of thing. Just give reps a really detailed description of what you're trying to do with this offer specifically. Sorry, it's fucking. I need to buy new ones, but this thing's buzzing in my ear. Anyways, I'm gonna remove it. So biggest thing with the form is just making sure reps understand what the offer is, who it's for, what it's about, the ticket price, what you did last month, what you're planning to do, what the plans are for the future. Are you investing in ads? Are you getting a new sales team? What are you doing? Like give them an overview of what's happening on just overall side of things and then see what they say about that. And then you'll get applications from there. Generally, what I'm looking for on the application side of things is just number one, name, email, phone number, Instagram profile. I always look at people's Instagram profiles just to understand who they are as a person. I'm not going to hire a rep that's got a really shitty Instagram. I'm just sorry. Like, if you're trying to get into online business, you need to have a really good Instagram. It's pretty much like a website at this point. So the biggest thing is have a good Instagram. If any reps are watching this, but I'd recommend, yeah, that's the biggest thing. So I'll get them name, email, phone number, Instagram. From there, I get them to understand like what are the hours they can work. So how many hours can you actually work? On what time zone can you actually work. So specific offers have specific requirements. So if you need a rep that can work 10 hours a day, full time, all that type of stuff, then you know that you're only going to look at the leads and the sets and the like sales reps that actually apply that can work full time. If someone says, "Oh, I can work 4 hours a day," then realistically, you're not even going to look at them. So that's the thing with the form. You're just looking for that side of things. You obviously get location, whether from, time zones, how many hours they can work, experience overall. So like, how long they've been in the space, that type of stuff. What's their best month, the best result overall, that sort of things. And then I get people to just submit a loom. If the loom shits, I also just don't speak to people. Like it's again, like it's my first touch point with you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do, anything like that. And you're going to submit like a shitty loom to me. No go. So the biggest thing is I always look for just a good loom, a good Instagram, and a good application on that sort of things from the people that I think are a fit for the offer based on the form. What I'll do is I'll hop on a call with them for literally just 15 minutes, and I'll try and see if they are a fit. So I'll just ask them a few questions about experience, see if they're lying, just kind of get a feel for them. I want to understand how they speak as a person, just a bit of their story, that type of thing. I don't go too in depth. I literally just the main idea for this 15-minute phone call is literally just to see if they present themselves well. So, do they have a good haircut? Do they have nice clothes on? Is their background nice? Is their bed made if they're in their bedroom? Like just those small types of things that do affect the way I look at people and the way other people will look at people. So that's the biggest thing is I just look at small things like that. Number one. Number two is just how they talk. So if they can't talk effectively, if they're nervous on the call, if they have bad energy, if they're just not asking me questions, that type of thing, I just won't move forward. So the idea here is just to weed out the people that I don't think are a fit. And I do that super, super quickly. Literally in 5 minutes, I can tell if they're not going to be a fit. Honestly, it's probably within 2 minutes. I'm very, very like quick to decide if I like you or not. So yeah, first impressions count on this call. That's the biggest thing. I'm just trying to identify there. Once I've taken those few people that I do think are a fit based on that 15-minute phone call, what I'll do is I'll hop on an actual call with them. So hour long. I'll detail a lot of things. So based on experience, I'll go through past offers, what they've worked on, where were they getting leads from, what was your metrics on these side of things. I'll just really dive deep into the experience side of things, past offers, that type of thing. From there, what I'll do is I'll understand them as a person. So, when you hire someone like a sales rep, it's more than just, oh, the stats look good, they look like a good person, they're clean, they speak nicely, all that's good. It's more about their motivation as well, because with sales, obviously, it's very like heavily driven on motivation and how hard you work. So at the end of the day, if I don't believe someone's got that like real grit to them, I won't hire them. So that's the biggest thing. I'm diving deep into their situation, what they're doing for work, what they did for work, their life story, anything that went wrong in their life that they actually overcame, and how did they overcome that? Have they worked any shitty jobs or hard labor jobs? Generally, if people work hard labor jobs, I just see that they work harder in general because they understand what manual labor feels like. That's just a key thing I've taken away. Also, like football players or any sort of like sports athlete or athlete at that fact, generally seem to work a bit harder. The problem I find with athletes is the fact that they still try and play their sport, and it takes away a lot of hours from working, and they're not super locked in on sales. That's the only problem. But other than that, they work pretty decently hard. Um, so yeah, it's just understanding them as a person. Do you think they work hard? The biggest thing I can give you guys as a tip when it comes to hiring is literally just being direct with the people you're hiring, and not and listening to your guts, if that makes sense. So I always listen to my guts. If I have a bad feeling about a sales rep, I just won't hire them. I'd rather take an extra few days to find the perfect rep, or an extra week or extra 2 weeks, however long it takes to find the perfect rep, rather than find one rep. They're not exactly a fit, but I still want to hire them because on paper they look good. And then I hire them, and then just a week later, I'm going to fire them. So based on these things, the biggest thing I can say is just like, on experience, is don't hire people you don't think are going to be a fit, and listen to your gut. If you don't feel like someone's going to be a good fit, don't hire them whatsoever. No matter if they look perfect on paper, no matter if they've sold you completely, if you don't feel good about it and your gut says no, just don't do it. It's made me a lot of money just by hiring the right people. And as a manager and an offer owner and whatever it may be, it just makes your life so much easier when you hire the right people. Okay. So that's the biggest thing there. Just on the hiring side of things, it's like pretty detailed, I'd say. Definitely detailed more than most people. So once we've actually hired them, obviously we get them in terms of onboarding and ramp process. So we get them like actually logged into all the apps. So any like Instagrams, any calendars, anything like that, we get them logged in on our first call. That's the first thing we do. Second thing we do is walk through our SOPs and our processes. So we'll like on call, I'll just share my screen, you get my note taker in there, and I'll literally just walk through our SOP. Our SOPs are probably just under 50 pages long. Um, so we're really detailed in terms of what we do, and the biggest thing there is just detailing exactly what we do. So the SOPs kind of detail everything from setting scripts to closing scripts to resources they need to payment links to you know descriptions they need for payment links to sales process in detail, so they understand the sales process as well, so they can understand what messages to send at what specific time. The biggest thing is we just walk through that so they have a solid understanding of baseline of what the offer does, how it works. We also give them offer details and videos to watch and stuff like that. But the main idea is just to get them to understand the main processes. So what happens when a lead comes in? What do you actually do? When a lead books in, what do you do? When a lead doesn't show up, what do you do? Like having all these things written out in an SOP is very, very crucial. So on the first onboarding call, that's all I'm doing right there, is I'm getting and walking them through the main processes. After that call, what I'll do is just send them over the recording. They'll go watch a few videos from that specific client just to understand the person that they're working for, if that makes sense. Once they've got a good understanding based on that side of things, and that's decent, what we'll do is hop on a few more calls and do some mocks. So generally, I just like to do a few mock calls before I actually get them to do anything inside of the DMs. By the time you get them on mocks, you'll be able to understand, like, is this person actually going to be a good fit or not? Generally, if someone's very, very quick to learn, and obviously I'm not forcing it and I'm not doing this like in an hour's time. We're generally doing this over like a day or two period. So we'll get them on the onboarding call, we'll wait a day, get them to understand the process, and then do some mocks. If they cannot understand the processes by the first mock call, generally I'll know they won't stick around for long, because the biggest thing is just implementation and learning quickly. Like, it's not hard. I've walked you guys through it. It's not that hard. But if they cannot understand it, like, it's like, okay, like, what are you doing here? So generally by this point, you'll be able to understand if someone's going to be a fit or not. So that being said, just run through some mocks, get them to understand the processes. Generally, the mocks will include through processes as well. So we'll actually go through the funnel. I'll opt in as a lead. They'll call me on the CRM. How does the CRM work? Making sure they're doing the right things inside the CRM. So it's making sure they're doing the small things. For example, as a setter, let's say as a closer, we'll run some mocks as well based on the offer, and I'll give them objections that I've seen on calls. Yeah, so it's just mainly on that side of things, running some mocks. Then from there, we get them into taking calls or in the DMs, whatever their position may be. Maybe they're a setter, maybe they're a closer, maybe they are a dialer. Sorry, we just got $100 payment as a deposit. Anyways, but yeah. Anyways, that being said, so just getting them in the DMs. My philosophy behind sales and overall the ramping process is get them into the role as quickly as possible. Don't diddle daddle with fucking like, training them up for a week and then getting them in the DMs or then getting them taking calls. Like at this point, you should know if they're a good rep or not. If they're a good rep, you should be able to get them in the DMs or on calls instantaneously. So that's the biggest thing, is just getting them on call as quickly as possible and getting them taking calls or in the DMs as quickly as possible. They're going to learn 10 times more when they're actually in the DMs versus doing some stupid little mock call. So that's my philosophy, is just get them in the DMs or taking calls or in the role as quickly as possible. And you're going to learn a lot quicker. And that's just my ramping process has become from 4 weeks now down to 2 weeks, even sometimes even a week, depending on the rep. But generally it takes like a week or two to get these reps to get the reps ramped. Generally with this type of process, generally getting them into the DMs and on calls as quickly as possible. So that's a very, very key thing over there, is making sure you're doing that as quickly as possible. Okay. From there, we're doing a review literally every single day. So I'm overviewing them in this 2 week period to make sure they're a fit. Literally every 5 minutes, I'm going through DMs, I'm listening to calls, I'm literally nitpicking every single thing, and I'm hopping on call with them every single day to give them as feedback as quickly as possible. Because the quicker they can learn, the quicker they're going to get ramped, and the quicker we can actually start making some good money. So the idea here is get them in the DMs as quickly as possible and review them and literally review everything they're doing, from DM setting, from setting calls to closing calls. Review everything, no matter what the role is, and then from there just give them feedback as quickly as possible and hope they implement it. So that's the biggest thing there. So yeah, in terms of ramping up process, not too complicated. I think it's a lot more detailed and a bit different to most people, but the specific thing is just getting them in the role as quickly as possible and then just doing a review for 2 weeks. So yeah, in terms of managing though, very, very simple as well. So we do 3 weekly training calls. If you're not doing training calls with your reps, you're doing something wrong. So you need to be doing 3 weekly training calls every single week. We specifically do ours on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Saturday and Sunday we don't do trainings, but throughout the week we're doing training. So the biggest thing is you don't want to be like trying new ad structures and doing this and doing that and trying to improve the business on that side of things, but you're not training your reps. It doesn't make sense. So I see a lot of problems with this, especially in the growth operator space, is like people just look at the sales team as like another like employee, like the sales teams contribute to so much of your actual revenue that if they're not dialed in, you will lose out on so much money. So making sure you actually do your job on the sales management side of things and actually trying to improve their skills as sales rep is going to make you so much money. I promise you, it is a very, very high ROI activity. Just to hop on a call 3 hours a week, and all you're doing is just going through the processes and going through some mock calls and actually identifying where the problems are and fixing those problems on call so that they can start doing some small things that are ultimately going to make the offer more money. So very, very high ROI activity. Once we started doing this, we also started making a lot more money overall. Our show rate went up, our close rates went up, everything went up because of this one thing. And I fell victim to it. I did not do training calls whatsoever with my reps before a few months ago. When I started doing it, we made a lot more money with all of our offers. So I'd recommend everyone doing that. Okay. And then from there, we do a daily ramping meeting. If your offer is doing below, let's say 20K a month, you don't really need to do daily ramping because you don't have that much going on. But if you're doing above 20K a month and you're trying to get to 6 figures a month, you need to be doing daily ramp meetings with all your reps. It's not like super complicated. It's just getting them on call, making sure they understand what to do for the day, and getting them to understand like what is the objective, what are we trying to achieve, and keeping them accountable. And then if there's anything else you need to tell them, you could just do it there. From there, as a manager as well, you need to be doing at least a minimum of like 1 to 2 hours a day of reviews. So that could be setter reviews, that could be call reviews, whatever it may be. I always do reviews on my sales reps just to make sure like they're actually doing what they say they're doing. This comes in many different forms. It comes in like listening to setting calls, going through DMs when they book someone in, going through sales call recordings in 2x speed as quickly as possible. The biggest thing is just making sure you're quality controlling your reps. Like if they do something wrong, making sure you pick up on it as quickly as possible and then fix the mistake. So that's the biggest thing from there. And then just daily pipeline check. As a manager specifically, you need to be on top of every single lead. So for example, if someone, you don't close someone on a call, but someone says, oh, I need to chat with my mom. I'll have a call with you later, that type of thing. I'll message you later. let's say a closer forgets about it. That does happen. Closers have a lot of stuff going on. They're taking a lot of calls, especially for us. Let's say that happens. This lead says, "Oh, my mom, we need to have a chat about it," and then the closer just forgets to message the person back and say what's going on. But you as a manager, you need to be able to identify that and see like, okay, what actually happened here? What happened there? What happened here? What happened there? And that's the main aspect of actually managing. So overall, the biggest advice I would give you is hire the right people. Make sure you train them up as quickly as possible to get them ramped as quickly as possible, uh, and literally just have a good time, have good culture, and then train. Like training is gonna make so much money for you. I promise you. Like it literally changed my business so much when I started training my reps as quickly as possible and fixing them on a weekly basis. So very very key thing on that sort of things. But that is managing and hiring a sales team. So now the last thing I want to detail is I'm getting a phone call. I don't know who that is, but anyways, main thing now, the last thing I want to detail is tracking in this side of things. So as you can see, we've got a full tracking dashboard. This is one we do not use, so I'll show it to you a bit later, and I won't show you our actual metrics, but on this side of things, you guys can see we track literally everything, especially on the sales. So we track total bookings, taken call, show up rate, deals closed, payment amounts, cash per close, close rates, pick up to book call rate, ROAS, dial to book rate. We track literally everything from setters to closers to dialers to DM setters, literally everything. Like as you can see, I can look at every single metric for the closers, the setters. I can look at cash collected. I can look at what closes collected, how much. I can look at literally everything, which setters collecting the most. I can look at literally everything. And the biggest piece of advice I can give any sort of info owner right now is get tracking dialed in. Like if you don't actually know where your problems are in your business, how are you actually going to make money? It just doesn't make sense in my head when people make decisions that are not based off of something true. You make a decision based on, let's say you have a bad show rate, okay? And you think it's big, and you just think, oh, we have a terrible close rate right now, but in fact, you're closing at, let's say, 60%, which is really good, okay? 60% close rate is really, really good. But you think because you're booking in so many calls that, oh, these people aren't closing, so you hire a new closer, and then your close rate drops. When in actual fact, it wasn't even your close rate to begin with, it was just your show rate. If you had increased your show rate from, let's say, 30% to 60%, you would have made more money. So it's things like that that help you make informed decisions. But not only that, it helps you see where your problems are. Because, for example, if you just increase, let's say on ads, just as a small one, like click through rate, if you take a click through rate from 0.5 to 1%, you are literally going to double the amount of money you make. Okay. If your dial to book rate, so let's say your dial to book rate is at 5%. If your dial to book rate goes from 5% to 10%, you're not doubling the lead flow. You're not doing anything. You're just literally doubling how many bookings you get now. Okay. If you overall just increase these small metrics by a little bit, week over week, and you improve this and you improve that, you're going to make so much more money. It's not about getting more leads. It's improving what you're doing with the leads you currently have. So that's my biggest piece of advice. And one thing that helped us get to this offer and get this offer to 125K a month in 3 months is because we have so much tracking, and our tracking actually dialed in. We literally track everything from set activities to closer activities to literally everything. So that's my biggest piece of advice, in making sure you guys actually have correct data and you're making like actual, like making sure you actually make informed decisions before you just guess. So yeah, that's the biggest thing over there. But yeah, that's how we scaled this client from 125K a month, or sorry, 25K a month to 125K a month in 3 months. If you guys have any questions, shoot them down below, or shoot me a message on Instagram. There's going to be a link in the description for my Instagram if you want to shoot me a quick message. If you want to book in a call for me and you want similar results as this to Ethan, there's going to also be a booking link down below. If you want some help with your info product and you want my help, or you just want you want to ask a few questions, you can also do that and book in a call. So yeah,